Heartbreaking moment. Jungkook speaks honestly. Jimin's expression shocks fans. Will I only be known as Jungkook of BTS? Or is there someone who truly loves me as an ordinary human being? The sentence came out calmly, but it struck like lightning in the night sky. There was no long introduction, no excessive dramatization. Just the soft voice of a young man who had always appeared perfect in the public eye, finally opening up about his most vulnerable side. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, who has always been admired for his talent, good looks, and confidence, unexpectedly revealed his feelings in the middle of a quiet night. And Jimin, the figure who has always been a support and comforter for the members, could only remain silent, his eyes filled with tears, his face covered in deep sadness. This conversation didn't happen on stage, nor in a glamorous interview session. It happened in a rigid and formal military environment, a place where emotions are usually buried deep for the sake of discipline. But that night, all the defensive walls collapsed. In a simple but meaningful atmosphere, two friends shared the anxieties that had been hidden behind the spotlight. Jungkook started with a shocking sentence. I feel like I'm losing myself. No one expected that the man who always appeared confident actually harbored such great doubts about his identity in life. He wasn't talking about fame or the pressures of the entertainment industry, but about the most basic human needs, to be understood, accepted, and loved unconditionally. Jimin's reaction? Unlike usual, he couldn't respond quickly. His gaze was empty, as if he didn't know whether to respond with words or a hug. The fans who knew about this moment from stories that spread internally admitted to being devastated to see how deep the wounds that Jungkook had been covering with a smile were. Sometimes I'm afraid that I've been in an unreal world for too long. And when this is all over, I might not have anyone, Jungkook continued. That sentence was heartbreaking. A man who has millions of fans turns out to feel lonely in the crowd. Jimin finally spoke, but his tone was different. There was no cheerfulness. Just a hoarse voice trying to give strength. He said, I know that feeling, Kook. I've also wondered whether the love that comes to me is sincere, or just for Jimin of BTS. These two idols, who have spent most of their lives in the public spotlight, mirrored each other. There was no competition, no ego. Just two humans who felt vulnerable, trying to strengthen each other in silence. In the silence of the barracks, Jungkook admitted his deepest fear, losing the opportunity to be loved. Hyung, what if I focus too much on pursuing a career that I forget what it feels like to love or be loved? That statement made Jimin silent for longer. His face changed. The expression that was usually warm turned cold and sad. He turned his face away, trying to hide the emotions he could no longer hold back. But tears flowed faster than he expected. It's not your fault, Kook, he said slowly. It's our world that makes everything feel unreal. But believe me, you're not alone. The atmosphere became silent. There was no background music, no spotlight. But the intensity of the emotions was able to make anyone who heard this story feel as if there was a large stone pressing on their chest. Fans who heard this story admitted to being shocked and touched. Quite a few expressed on social media that they cried after knowing how heavy the psychological burden Jungkook was carrying. A few days after that moment, the atmosphere in the barracks slowly returned to normal. Routine training, cleaning duties, eating together, everything went as usual. However, there was something different in the way Jimin looked at Jungkook. He was more attentive, more protective, and more often invited his friend to just joke around or sit back and chat. In a later moment, Jimin found Jungkook sitting alone, writing in a small book. When asked, Jungkook gave it to him without hesitation. Inside the book, Jimin read a deep outpouring of feelings, about exhaustion, about longing to find someone sincere, and about dreams that felt further and further away. I'm afraid I'm not good enough. That sentence was written in thick ink. Jimin closed the book slowly and looked at Jungkook. No one is perfect, Kook. But you are enough. You are always enough. The following nights became a space of healing for both of them. They talked more honestly than ever before. Jimin, who had been a support for many people, also finally admitted that he was still looking for something he hadn't found: inner peace, sincere love, and acceptance as he is. On one quiet night, when the sky was full of stars, Jungkook said softly, "Hyung, I think what I'm looking for isn't perfection. I just want someone who wants to stay with me, even when I'm not okay." Jimin didn't answer. He just patted Jungkook on the shoulder gently and looked at him deeply. There were thousands of words in that gaze, but only one meaning: "I understand you." In a world that continues to demand them to be perfect, to always smile, to always be strong, that night became a small space where they could be themselves. Without masks, without scripts, without cameras. Just two hearts trying to heal each other, and for the fans, this story is not only touching, but also raises awareness that even idols who seem untouchable have wounds and longings. They are not just icons, but humans who are constantly searching for the true meaning of love, understanding, and acceptance. Now, one question still hangs: will Jungkook find someone who can love him as a human, not as an idol? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: he will not go through his search alone, because in every step, there is Jimin, not only as a groupmate, but as a true friend who will always walk by his side, no matter what happens, touching moment or just sensation. Jungkook speaks honestly. Jimin's expression shocks fans. But is this real? An emotional moment between Jungkook and Jimin that supposedly occurred in the silence of a military barrack has stirred the hearts of fans around the world. The content? A personal confession from Jungkook about his fears of love, identity, and loneliness, accompanied by Jimin's unusual reaction: falling tears, heavy silence, and an expression that shook the emotions of fans. But the question now is, did all of this really happen? Or is this just a series of narratives designed to create an emotional wave for the sake of engagement? We know that in today's digital age, the line between fact and fiction is becoming increasingly blurred. This story first spread through platforms like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and viral threads on Twitter, or now known as X. Not a few content creators also inserted this narrative into their videos with melancholic music and touching visual effects, making it seem as if this story is a real recording from the hearts of two world superstars. But let's stop for a moment. Take a breath. And ask a basic question: where did this story actually come from? Is there authentic evidence, documentation, or direct confirmation from BTS's agency, HYBE labels, or even from Jimin and Jungkook themselves? If we delve deeper, most of the sources that claim to know this conversation only base their stories on leaked information from insiders, or even more vague, from fans who translate body expressions in short clips during military training. Is that enough to be the basis of such a moving narrative? Of course, it's not wrong if we, as fans, feel emotions from this kind of story. But on the other hand, it's important to ask, is this just another way to take advantage of fans longing for their idols who are on hiatus due to military service? Is this just an emotional strategy used to maintain the relevance or existence of public figures in the midst of a vacuum of their official activities? Very possible. Even very common. The fact that we must realize together is, the South Korean entertainment industry, like many other entertainment industries, not only relies on works and performances, but also manages narratives. They create stories. They shape images. And sometimes, they allow, or even encourage, the spread of heartwarming stories to maintain the emotional bond between idols and fans. Then what about Jimin's expression that is said to shock fans? Is that really an expression recorded directly when Jungkook expressed his feelings? Or is it just the result of video editing combined with a fictional narrative that makes it feel real? Let's use one basic principle in journalism and media literacy: verification. To date, there has not been a single official statement from Jungkook, Jimin, or the agency regarding private conversations as circulated. There are no interviews, no original video clips, and no credible witnesses that can be confirmed. So it is very important to ask, if this story cannot be verified, why do we easily believe it? Please leave your opinions, discuss with other fans, and let's keep this digital ecosystem healthy, informative, and wise. Thank you.